Okay,
We all set?
I hope so.
Okay, I'll call the August 15th Board of Commissioner meeting to order. We're going to start with a prayer from Commissioner Heberlein, pledged by Commissioner Moody.
Before we start our meeting today, before I have the prayer, I think most of you know, if from this county and across the state, a number of our schools are opening back up this week, end of the week and next week. And so we don't have to pray in this meeting. I'm going to pray for it, but we need to pray for our administrators, our teachers, our school bus drivers, and people that have anything to do with it, with our children. It's an awesome job and they need our prayers. Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you, Lord, for the free country that we can come and to meet and do our county business. We just thank you for each person that is represented here today. They've taken time to come to our meeting to pay attention what's going on within our community. We ask, Lord, that you'd be with each of our commissioners today as we go through our agendas and the things that we have to make decisions on. We pray for your guidance and direction. We give you the honor and the glory in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Lori, roll call, please.
District 1, Chairman John Block.
Present.
District 2, Commissioner Roger Ballard.
Present.
District 3, Commissioner Gary Heberlein.
Present.
District 4, Commissioner Bill Sarkella, absent. District 5, Commissioner Christine Lee. Present. District 6, Commissioner Evans Ehart.
Here.
District 7, Commissioner John Moody.
Here.
Thank you. At this time, we'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. We do have two additions to our agenda. It'll be FA 147-22 and then NFA 007-23. I would like to add those underneath FA 117-23. So we'll handle both of those pieces of business at the very end of new business. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda with the said amendments.
I'll make that motion.
Support. I have a motion from Commissioner Lee with support from Commissioner Ehart. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Agenda is adopted. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve our meeting minutes from August 1st.
So moved. Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Ballard, support from Commissioner Moody to approve the meeting minutes from August 1st. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. We received your correspondence from Jody through email the other day. We'll take us into commissioner reports and we will start with Commissioner Moody.
I had Melvin last week. It was a pretty quick meeting. They just paid some of their bills and discussed a couple things on their new, I guess, city rule they want to have there for non-motorized roadway vehicles, but didn't do a real whole lot there tonight, that night. Speaker Township did a new 6-month moratorium on their solar. That's about it. That's all I have.
Thank you, John. Evans?
I got Lexington and Carlsville council meetings next week and township next week, so.
Okay. I've been working with Marion Township Supervisor Kurt Schubel, something related to the Emmerich litigation, the issues with the wind turbine taxable values. There's some, I think while they're reaching those agreements, there's some forms that need to be signed and I've been helping them with that. That's all I have. Christine?
I attended Maple Valley and Flint Township meetings, and funny, were identical. They meet on the same night, but at different hours, but their agenda basically almost was identical. Ruth Coleman from the Brown City District Library came and talked about how they were proposing to put a millage on the ballot for the district library. At Maple Valley, the gentleman, I can't think of his name, from Mid-Thumb Bowman, he runs a youth league for kids 4 to 17. They have 2,000 members. They don't teach hunting, they just teach archery, and they do it in January and February. And it's for 8 weeks, $30 a kid, $50 for two, $60 for a family. And they have a very good turnout and crowd. And then the big topic at Maple Valley was there was concerned citizens about the dirt roads, and they want to know what was the speed limit on dirt roads. And the reason why is there's a farmer that has those big manure spreaders that they hook up to semi trucks. And then one lady said that she lives on a dirt road. She had 10 of them that went by her house in an hour. And she says they kick up so much dust and whatever. And her concern was about the Amish kids walking to school and stuff, because once that dust kicked up, you can't see nothing. And then I was late getting to the Maple Valley Township meeting or Flint Township. And sure enough, here was all these Amish dads that was the same complaint about this. And they wanted to know if the county can lower the speed limit on the dirt roads or what the deal is. I said, I'll just bring it up. But basically their meetings were pretty well identical. In fact, they laughed at somebody sent an agenda to vote the memo. And then Flint Township decided to partner with the county for the 8 days to go to Sandusky for early voting. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Christine. Gary?
Yeah, Christine, if I can just comment on one of the things you brought up. That's when, as far as the manure hauling, that's been brought up in a couple of my townships. And first of all, the first thing it's talked about is the right to farm.
Yeah, well, that's what they were told, the right to farm.
But I just wanted to tell you one of the things they've done to try to curb that is they will go to the farmer and ask if, and sometimes it's miles away, but if it's close, they'll ask them to rebrine the roads, before they start. So I don't know if that was brought up. But,
Well, Brian was talked about different things.
So from my standpoint, since our last meeting, I attended the Moore Township meeting, nothing really to report there. And then I also attended the Parks Recreation Board since our last meeting. And I believe it was the same night we had the Watertown Township meeting, as I reported in our last BOC meeting. The former current supervisor had decided to leave that position, and the new supervisor for Watertown Township is Bill Dixon took on that responsibility and voted in.
Very good.
Exciting meeting.
Gary? Roger?
I attended Marlette Township meeting. They have their parking lot just about done. The concrete's all in. They are actually going to fence in their recycle bin, the county recycle bin, so it contains any spillage. I was out there the other day and it really looks nice. I missed Argyle and I missed the city of Marlette. I was up in the UP on my motorcycle for 5 days, so. And it
That must have been
beautiful out there. A couple of days, 1,380 miles in 5 days is, well, it was a good ride. It's beautiful up there. Well, yeah.
Thank you, Roger. Appreciate everyone's commissioner reports. Nathan, your administrator report, please.
Thank you. To hit on what John was talking, there was an MREC meeting that took place with Constellation last week. I think talks have begun on the clawbacks, I think, that were that I guess there's some contention over. So I think early discussions went well. So there's some things that John and I talked about, and then he's reaching out to Marion Township's supervisor. So hopefully we can continue progress on those discussions. Had a materials management meeting last week in regards to waste within the county. And as I've told you guys, the state's pushing this. We met with Tuscola County, met with Huron County. We're looking to partner together potentially on this. And discussions are trending well. We're just looking at where all the waste will go. I mean, they want you to track all your solid waste, your glass, your recycling, all those things. The big push essentially is to minimize waste going into landfill. So to increase recycling however you can. Huron County has no recycling center. So that's where they've gotten into discussion with us and Tuscola about potentially how we can get their recyclables to our facility in Tuscola's. And the boiler system, I don't know if any of you saw outside the building and grounds office, the new boiler system is here. Hopefully the idea is Lakeshore Improvements will start working on that at the end of this week, and maybe it'll be fully functional by the end of next week. So, all right.
Nathan, I read your report and I wanted to talk to you before the meeting, so I'll ask you now. You said that the state is pushing this and you're talking about glass. I'm sure that's tires. metal, whatever else. Have they given any kind of timeline when the state thinks they're gonna mandate this? Because that's gonna be a huge undertaking, I'm sure.
Yeah, so they want you to start your discussions and then timelines kind of start along the way, I guess, once you begin discussions about developing a plan, you have so long to complete it. The idea is that everything will take place over the course of the next year. The good part about it is they are funding it. So it's not like a non-funded mandate. They are
That
providing.
was my next question. Is that short term, long term?
They're going to provide funding to you in the amount, it's $60,000 roughly a year. And if you partner with another county, they'll give you an additional $10,000.
So it's going to eventually be a major cost, because if you've got to put up a building, rent a building, if you've got to get a glass crusher, a tire shredder, metal, truck it somewhere. So we, the taxpayers, are going to pay that, right?
Well, and they're not gonna mandate where you take your stuff. They just want some ability to track. So, you know, if for instance, a glass wasn't something we chose to recycle and we justified why, they just want to know where the materials are going, but with an emphasis upon recycling as much as you can if it's feasible. So, but they're not going to mandate where you take your items, I guess.
They are going to eventually stop the 4 things we just talked about from going into landfills. You know,
No, they haven't said that.
okay.
Well, they're probably blind right now. They don't know where these materials are going. So phase 1 is the setup that we're going through now. And in 5 years after this is done, the state will then have a lot of data to work with about where everything was going. And then you'll likely see more decisions coming down the pipeline later. And I would agree with most likely mandates of where things have to go. And
Right.
Yeah.
any further questions for Nathan? Nathan, thank you for your administrator's report. At this time, I'll entertain public comments pertaining to today's agenda. Are there any public comments pertaining to the agenda today? There's the second public comment section if anybody has something they want to do there. Seeing none, we'll move on. There's no need for appointments to standing committees or need for 13B or 14. There's no general resolutions. So we'll move into committee reports and we will start with Commissioner Ballard.
I had a park board meeting last week. I actually got an email from the MDNR when I got home from my vacation, and her project agreement was approved. Or what, excuse me, let me back up, was sent to me for signature, and also 3 additional documents that they require to be sent in with that. I haven't heard back. Usually it's about a 1 to 2 week response time. The way things have been going, that could turn into 1 to 2 months because things have really been dragging. But that's a good sign anyways. I've been working on that for 3 years. We're working with Santoro and Row Engineering on the Forester project. That's starting to move along, and I expect any day now that things are going to really start happening with that. So hopefully that'll be completed before the bad weather gets here. Other than that, CMH program committee meeting, that was about it. Oh, park also, we're accepting bids on a renovation on the house. We'll see how those come in.
Okay.
And determine which direction we're going to go.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you, Roger. Gary?
Roger pretty well said everything to me. I attended Parks and Recreation, so I won't add anything to that. And then tonight, we have our county planning committee meeting. So, into my report.
Thank you, Gary. Christine?
I had a health board meeting this morning, and they have noticed that there's a lot of animal bites, like from bats and stuff, but so far not rabbit. And COVID-19, there's been 109 confirmed cases since June, so that's going up. Lyme disease is up because of they decided because of the midwinter we had this year, because the ticks and stuff haven't been really killed off. They're urging everyone who is eligible to get revaccinated against COVID-19, the flu, and RSV once the shots have become available. There has been 2 cases of swine flu in Michigan. First one was in Lapeer County. The second one was in Tuscola County. And where it came from was from their fairs with sick pigs. And Health Board is doing a facility assessment for Maple Valley, and they have VEREGY, Vergesy, that's doing a five-step program. And the first 3 steps is at no cost to see about heating and different type of things. And so that's what they're doing, setting up right now. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Christine. As Gary said, there is a county planning commission meeting tonight. Just a little further on that. As we've discussed throughout the year, the master plan is nearing its time of completion. So I think we're going to see it for the first time tonight, whether we get through it all today or not. But just so the Board of Commissioners is aware, there will be a period where it'll go out to the public for comment. But ultimately, at some point, that plan will land here at this table for all of us to approve or disapprove or make changes to however we see fit. I'd like to think we'll get there by the end of the year, but as we've said all along, it's a lengthy process and sometimes things don't.
What we thought, isn't it?
Yeah. So also ARPA met this morning. We basically revisited the projects that have been completed with ARPA, evaluated the amount of funding left over, and the current projects that are in the queue that we're looking closely at are probably going to take us where we need to go as far as completing out with that. Some of the big topics are like the animal control building. We're still working on those issues, because it's like everything, to try to get a contractor to get you pricing and stuff. It's just been a real challenge. So we're going to keep moving those items forward, but I would suspect or hope that by the end of the year, maybe we've got some numbers and maybe we can start moving some of those things down the line as far as the board's concerned. So that's all I have for committee reports. Evans?
The Veterans Village Board today, all was approving their budget, which will be in front of us in the near future. But besides that, anything else?
Okay, very good. Thank you, Evans. John?
No report.
Okay, very good. I appreciate everyone's committee reports. At this time, I see no need for unfinished business, so we'll move directly into new business. And we will start with FA 113-23, approval of 2023 current claims.
The Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the payment of current claims for 2023 identified on the accounts payable report dated August 8th, 2023 for the general bank account in the amount of $208,399.08.
I have a motion from Vice Chairman Ballard. Is there?
Support.
I have support from Commissioner Lee. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 114-23, budget adoptions, amendments, appropriations, and transfers.
The Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the following amendments and establishes the following accounts. You'll see those in your packet.
I have a motion from Commissioner Ballard, support from Commissioner Ehart. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 115-23, approval of additional general fund bank account checks charged to July 2023.
Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby approves payment of additional general fund bank account checks charged to July 2023 as follows. Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Ballard, support from Commissioner Moody. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 116-23, award and authorize the purchase of bulk copy paper.
The Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby awards and authorizes Contract Paper Group the low bid for 300 cases of copy paper at a cost not to exceed $10,260, including delivery, for immediate approval with funding of $5,000 from the central purchasing budget and $5,260 from the general fund contingency.
Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Ballard, support from Commissioner Ehart. Is there discussion?
The sheriff department's gonna pick this up for us, right?
Nathan?
They're gonna help with, once it's delivered here, they're gonna help with it.
Because it's,
So this company's delivering it.
Yeah.
Okay.
we're going to get 150 cases and
Due to storage, yep, we're gonna get 150 at a time.
very good. Any further discussion related to FA 116-23? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 117-23, award and authorization of replacement tile.
The Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby awards and authorizes Graves Carpentry LLC to bid for the purpose of repairing the tiles on the first floor of the courthouse women's bathroom at a cost not to exceed $11,200 with funding from building grounds.
I have a motion from Commissioner Ballard, support from Commissioner Lee. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Now into our amendments to our agenda. We will start with FA 147-22, authorization to purchase vehicle 24th Circuit Court Juvenile Division.
Okay, I'll have to skip through when we got a lot of lines.
I read through that one, Roger. If you read everything that's not crossed out,
Right.
I think it'll
I
make
got it.
sense.
I'll go ahead and read this and then we'll have discussion. Okay, Mike, thank you. The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes the 24th Circuit Court Juvenile Division purchase 2023 or newer vehicle at a cost not to exceed $42,545 with funding from the USDA grant of $14,700 and the remaining balance of $27,845 with $25,000 from the juvenile budget and $2,845 from the general fund contingency.
Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Ballard and support from Commissioner Heberly. Mike, did you have something you wanted to add to this discussion?
I do.
Okay. And just so everyone knows, the reason this is as complicated as it looks is vehicles are hard to get and we've been struggling to get our hands on one. So this is a process that you guys have a vehicle basically picked out, ready to go to get this done. You guys are gonna have access to that vehicle for purchase, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
That's my, oh, go ahead.
This is for immediate approval, I believe.
Yeah.
Because it's not stated in here.
It is. Yep, it is. Well, it's at the BOC, not finance. So when we're done.
Oh, right. Sorry. Forgot what meeting I'm in.
And I think Nathan, as I questioned you this morning, and this importance of getting this right away is a fact they've been using one of the sheriff's old cars of 2016.
Yeah.
And the biggest fear is they get halfway between A point and B point and it quits and they have a juvenile in there.
And that B point in some cases is out of state. So they're going a far distance. I guess with all that, is there any further discussion related to FA 147-22? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Mike, I do appreciate you being here to answer questions.
Thank you.
We will now move on to NFA 007-23, acceptance of offer and consent to grade and reconstruct sidewalk.
Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the right to consent to grade for the property described as station number 2023 plus 32.23, LT 2023 plus 35.23, LT, and the right to consent to construct / reconstruct the sidewalk for the property described as station number 2025 plus 68.10, LT 2026 plus 38.74, LT, and 2029 plus 07.86, LT 29 plus 25.86 LT, and accepts the Michigan Department of Transportation's offer of $700. Further authorizes the board chairman to sign the necessary documents.
I have a motion from Commissioner Ballard. Do I have support?
I'll support that. I have a question. There's a lot of LTs in there.
There is.
So my question, that's not my question. My question is, we're talking about the sidewalk.
Correct.
So is that our only property?
So in.
I want to figure out how that works. 'Cause
Well,
we're taking away all the parking, right?
Right.
I want you all to know that we're losing all the parking out there.
And remember, there's the road right of way, so we may own it, but we don't.
Right, I get that too. Yeah.
And the major concerns that came down is really, other than the structural changes that are going to happen on the road that we have no control over, they do need to grade the sidewalks to meet that new grade. And the one topic is down here on this corner, doesn't really affect anything. But the other corner has we own that digital sign that's out there?
Digital sign, yeah.
Yeah, so our digital sign is out there. And Nathan and I in the call, we noticed that part of the construction area was including that. And we wanted that identified, that you're not going to bulldoze our sign.
Right. We mentioned that in the last.
Yeah, so we requested that MDOT change this to reflect that. Now you'll see in the print that it's actually notified to protect that sign. I'm sure they wouldn't have heard our sign before, but we just figured it best to make sure that it was in writing. So that's essentially what this is. And after I've reviewed it, I'm comfortable signing this document to here for board approval.
I guess I know all that. I just want to make sure everybody understood what we're doing.
Yep, absolutely. So
Yeah, and MDOT had the right way to do that.
correct. Yeah. Is there any further discussion related to NFA 007-23? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. That will conclude new business. And with the conclusion of new business, I will now entertain general public comments. Are there any general public comments today? Brett, you have something for us?
Thank you. So roughly a month and a half ago, I was contacted by a concerned citizen who referred me to an attorney out of Lansing. This attorney is about to draft a lawsuit, a federal lawsuit against the Michigan Secretary of State. What this lawsuit pertains to primarily is election fraud in the 2020 election. Part of this whole discovery phase and the evidence collection has been private citizens such as myself going out to the to the county clerk's office and getting these two forms. My first one is a voting record form, and the second is a change history form. And I'll pass these around to you guys right now. And I would ask that you take note of this third column right here, which says user code. Thank you, sir. That was from 6/28. Today, I went over to the county clerk's office on 8/15 and requested the exact same forms. Today, I got these two forms for my change history form as well as my voting record form. Third column now omitted. So what we're finding out here is that the Secretary of State, obviously you guys aren't doing this, is that correct? Leslie, you don't have any.
I'm not Leslie.
Oh, sorry. Well, the county clerk does not have any say as to what these forms are comprised of. Is that correct?
No comment.
You have no comment. Okay, so I guess what the concern here is that the Secretary of State, if I can't get an answer, is primarily responsible for these forms and the data in them. As you can see, the form is omitted. The third column is omitted, and that third column is what essentially this lawyer is using to match up from the county level to the state level to verify the accuracy of the voting rolls. The information's gone now. This is obstruction of justice at this point. So I'll be interviewing this attorney tomorrow at the Aitken Library in Croswell at roughly 1 p.m. And from there, I should have a story out probably in video form in the evening. And I would just ask that you guys, if you're interested, follow along with this. It's pretty big news and it's breaking right now. So I would appreciate some sort of answer as to, is the county responsible for this data or not? I should be able to get that answer right.
And that answer would be for the county clerk who is not here today.
Okay.
And you could get a hold of her, make an appointment to meet her in her office. She'd be the appropriate person to answer that question too.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that this is going on. And yeah, it's something worth following.
Okay. Thank you, Brett.
Yeah.
Is there any further public comment today?
Yes.
My name is Dalen Newster, and I'm happy that I've gotten to know all of you because I suffer from post-traumatic stress. So I just kind of wrote out a little statement that I wanted to read to you, and I'm just praying that I will get an investigation of my family. Here's what I wrote. I am requesting a legal investigation of Kurt Euster Sr., my ex-husband, and Ruth McCarty Kozlowski, my half-sister. They are both retired now, but worked in the Michigan schools, public and parochial. They are each addicted to and spreading the drug ecstasy. They are players in a pedophile ring that originated in Ubly in the 1970s. They are human traffickers. I have a great-grandchild that is being raised in Kentucky, and she's being raised by two lesbians, and one of them, I'm sorry, it shakes me up. And one of them had a penile transplant in California. So they are raising my first great-grandchild. They are human traffickers and need to be held accountable. God bless all of you for allowing me to speak the truth. If you have questions for me, I will try and answer them, but as you can see what happens to me. Whenever I have to talk about my great-grandchild, I'm afraid of panic attacks. Please, I'm trying to get Sheriff Paul Rich to be a constitutional sheriff to investigate all of the records, and he won't even talk to me about it. He gets upset with me every time I try and talk to him. So I'm asking you, please, as county commissioners, because it is your job to, help those of us in this community that are suffering from drug addiction. And I was placed on drugs that nearly killed me, and Dr. Guerrero from Deckerville is the one who saved my life. And he told me to get away from my husband and never go back. And I just really, really need your help. So please stand with me. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comments today? Aaron, how are you today?
I'm doing well, thanks. How's everyone?
Good.
For those of you that don't know me, my name is Erin Carlson. I'm a teacher at Sandusky Schools. I'll start with the easy one. The first thing, I am taking over the English 12 class, and I just wanted to bring it to your attention that one of the new requirements that I'm going to ask all of the senior English students to do is to attend some type of public meeting sometime in the first semester, just because I think there's a lot of disconnect. And students really don't know what boards are in this community at all. So if you see students in this meeting or in any of the other township meetings or city meetings, they're probably there for a requirement. So there is a form that they have to fill out. They don't have to speak, but it's just, that's a newer requirement. So if you see students, we encourage them. If you have any ideas, it's brand new. So
Aaron, I've been saying that for years, that needed to be a requirement to graduate from high school to attend your local government. So I think it's fantastic what you're doing. I think it's an excellent requirement, and it's going to expand the horizons for all those kids to understand that there are a lot of boards and entities locally that do have a great deal of control over how our lives are ran. And so they're very important. So I think that's an excellent thing you're doing.
So that will be first semester. Second semester will be some type of civic or private community like Lions Club or Kiwanis meeting. So that's kind of my vision right now. But again, if you have any ideas, you see all of these meetings. So I would welcome anything, any help. The second thing is a little more challenging. The flag project is really what I'm here for. When the flag project was started, the second time, I guess, it was taken over by the school and Mr. Lasecki. A lot of the students, we started with about 200 flags. And I don't think anyone ever guessed that the flag project would grow to the magnitude that it is. But currently, as it stands, we have over 550 orders for flags and plaques. Just to put that into perspective, that puts us about 50 holes short right now, as it is. And every time the flags go up, we get more orders. And I don't see it ending. I know what the list looks like, and I know that there are a lot of veterans in this community that do not have plaques, and they refuse to get a plaque until they pass away. Because that's just something that they stand for. So I really don't think that it's going to have an end date in any near future that I see. So I come to you for potential ideas, maybe start thinking about how we would like to go forward. The shed that we have out here right now is great. But again, we're going to outgrow that. We are already 4 layers high of plaques. I cannot reach the top shelf myself. So
Nathan couldn't reach that.
right. Right. So I know that we have to do something. And I'm not exactly sure what.
So you're, if I can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I know this is a 3 minutes. So you're needing more space for flags and more space in a building. It's twofold.
The building is okay right now, but it's not going to be forever. And this project needs some type of end or conclusion or an idea of how we can continue it in a way that does not require space. And I know it's going to be impacted by the MDOT project as well. So I'm guessing we will lose all of the holes that are.
It's possible. We would have to look through the paperwork, and because I'm not even myself 100% sure where those are. So knowing that you were going to be asking some of these questions, we did a little bit of looking. And so on January 19th of 2016, the Board of Commissioners approved to allow the flags and pole holders to be in the yard. But there's no limitation on the amount of space. And so clearly, we have buildings and grounds, and there's a need to just evaluate where that would go. And I've talked to Administrator Roski, and he would be a great point of contact that if there's a need to expand the space for the flags, there's no need for the board to take action on it at this time. It would be something that Nathan would be able to handle. That should solve your issue as far as the space within the yard that you have. And then, as you stated, the storage is not an issue yet, but will be soon. And that's something that we could start to plan for in the future. Possibly, obviously it's going to take some funding to put a different building there, a larger one.
Right.
And we just have to work our way through to figure that out.
One of the other ideas I kind of just want to throw out there too, if the plaques that we have currently, a suggestion came out that if we were to return the plaques to the families and get some type of monument where you could etch all of the names into that, whether it was by decade or war or whatever the case may be, we have all of those records. And then the plaques are what is taking up all of the room in there, and those are heavy. I don't know if some of you have been out there while we're doing it, but
I was on buildings and grounds for
yeah,
15
they're
years.
heavy.
I'm pretty familiar with them.
And they do continue to break. The top part will come off. And I think a lot of that is because of the stress of where we have to lay them and store them. So I don't know. I just wanted to kind of lay this out here. We don't have to make a decision on anything anytime soon. But I'm looking for ideas, looking for guidance. I know the students would take a project on of funding if it were a new monument or whatever the case that would be. I just need some ideas.
So are you aiming to keep installing all the flags, but maybe moving away from the physical markers that seem to be more of the challenging part? And in lieu of the physical individual markers, possibly a monument that the names could be put on a more permanent basis.
We've got a veteran campus here we've started. And I guess we would have to look at buildings and ground committee to put another monument in there. I don't see a reason we couldn't, but the question I wanted to ask you, I think, you were part of it, and George, I think you did all the funding for the building, right? You raised money for that,
Yeah, I mean, I have no opposition to that concept. We just need to decide how we pull it together. And typically we would do something like that through a committee. So is that something that maybe you'd want to have a few students yourself
That would be.
and maybe a couple of us involved in it?
That would be great. And get some of the local veterans groups. Get a representative from the VFW and the American.
I don't think you'll have any trouble finding some
I
volunteers.
don't think so either, but yeah, we need some ideas and.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm certainly willing to work with you, and I think everybody else here would be too. So I would suggest put some ideas together and then maybe send them our direction and we can take a look at it. The one thing I would say is if we're going to make a change from the current marker system we use to one of those big ones, let's build it a third larger than we need it. So it's there for us when we need to add to it later.
Right. I mean.
Or something that can be added to.
Right.
And make it look.
Yeah, like what you just said, Roger, is maybe you've got one that's got everybody on it, but it's just known that type of granite can be purchased and it could be added onto at a later date. Maybe even have the footer installed for it, ready to go all out of the gate. So
I agree. It's not slowing down.
Okay. Well, like I said, at least we've got the flag situation.
Right.
You kind of know that. All you have to do is reach out to Nathan and we can certainly add those areas in. I guess what I would suggest is come to us with some type of a proposal on what you think is going to be the best solution, and I'm sure we can work something out.
Perfect. I don't know what your thoughts are about next year when the project is taking place. We probably won't be able to put them up, will we?
I mean,
Is that what you're thinking?
I would think you just might be obviously limited to how far out you went. And I would say, I mean, I'd hate to speak for this and be wrong, but I would think the community would certainly prefer it if we did continue that in whatever form we're able to continue to do it in.
Right.
Because it's a very beloved thing.
It is, it is. So,
So you've got post holes on the south side of the sidewalk.
Both
So-
sides of the sidewalk.
So, yeah, I'm aware of that, but, so I think based on the conversation you and I had earlier, meeting, they're gonna extend that sidewalk out and so that probably is gonna affect that front row.
Right.
Maybe you do something different.
Would it be helpful?
Oh, I'm sorry.
So would it be helpful if I shared with you the MDOT documents? Maybe that would help you kind of gauge where they're planning to do some of their work so that you could continue to
Because we'll
plan.
have to redig all of those would be my,
Right. And that's going to be a sizable project by itself. That may be something that you want to get started on sooner than later.
right?
So,
And maybe we can put them a little closer.
Well, I was thinking if you could
Mhm.
like put all your markers in rows, make it like an Arlington thing and then flags around or something, kind of minimize it a little bit. But
That would
yeah,
be
still get all the markers out
Mhm.
Mhm.
and stay out of the way of the construction.
I do know that my grandchildren came and found their great grandpa's flag and had their pictures taken by it and all
It
that.
is so nice.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people do that.
Right.
behind.
And that's,
They're
we've been in
relatives.
a tough spot because we don't have enough holes for
Yeah,
all of the plaques, so we have to put some of the plaques between the flags, and I know that it's sad when,
Yeah.
if it isn't by the flag, but sure what to do.
Well, it looks like we're 100% willing to work with you.
Yeah.
I think we can work together. Yep,
Get some plans in place.
our veterans are most important.
Yeah. Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you.
there's a few extra papers here, but I just wanted to share this with you. What MDOT's doing is all laid out in these diagrams.
So that's an extra.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, well, thank you all so much.
Okay, is there any further public comment today? Seeing none, we will move on. I see no need for closed session or approval of closed session minutes, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion from Commissioner Lee. Is there support? Support from Commissioner Ehart. All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned at 1:40.